Good day, everyone. Today, Giselle Babor and I will be presenting our work for Chapter 5, The Pedagogical Competencies of Teachers. Now, in this video, we're gonna identify 6 teachers and recall on their commendable practices which we think are good resources for community involvement. And for the second part of this activity, we'll be answering 3 essential questions. So let's get started. So as you can see, I have identified 3 teachers. The remaining 3 will be presented by Miss Babor. So let's start with my first teacher identified. Her name is Miss Suzette Bagnol. She was my MAPE teacher in elementary. However, at present, she is the assistant principal in one of the public elementary school here in Dumaguete. So she's no longer teaching the subject MAPE. But before that even happened, she was an alternative learning system or ALS teacher in our school. I have witnessed how she poured her heart and soul into her work, and I admire her for that. She visits almost every household in the community, trying to identify potential students for her class. Now, I think her work is a good resource for potential community involvement. The responsibility of sending a kid to school is not solely on the teachers, but on the parents as well. And pretty much, her work calls for action and involvement of the community. Next, we have teacher number 2. She is Miss Novaline Ramos, my biology teacher in senior high school. She is a graduate of RMT or MedTech, but after some time, she decided to teach in the academy. Now, it was easy for her to teach biology as it was, quote-unquote, her forte. Of course, her being a medtech for a very long time. So, it's no doubt that biology is one of her forte. Now, during her class, we would really learn a lot from her, more than what's written on the textbook. She was really smart. It was very evident that she was really smart, and I loved biology a lot because of her. Now, there are times that I message her for medical advice. I need not have to visit a medical doctor because I have her. And so I thought perhaps it'd be a good resource for community involvement. Personally, my interests were in math and science, yet I still ask her questions about biology. And so I thought about the people in the community who do not have access to the kind of information I have at school, and with Miss Ramos, of course, by being my teacher. So perhaps I thought a medical mission would do, or a lecture on certain diseases rampant within a particular area. Or if I make use of my specialization, mathematics, perhaps a tutorial on mathematics would be beneficial for kids who have a hard time answering math problems. So I think that these are a very good potential resource for community involvement. Lastly, we have Sir Patrimonio, Mr. Heraclio Patrimonio. He was my grade 9 mathematics teacher. Now, one important thing I learned from him is on matters involving school contribution. In times when our class before, needs something such as electric fans, school supplies, or any form of financial support, what he does is he does not instantly call for parents' meeting and ask each parent for equal contribution. In his experience, it'll be perceived as a burden to the parents. And so instead, what he does is he asks one parent for donation or someone he knows he could help him raise money. Then, if that happens, if he has raised money already or perhaps have purchased electric fans or what have you, he posts it online or sends it to their group chat, giving recognition to that particular parent. Now, with his years of teaching experience, he claims this practice to be very effective. When one parent is recognized, others would want to get the same recognition and thus give their contribution. Now, I know it's quite debatable, but I see a potential of this being a possible practice in involving the community. Sometimes when parents are asked to do something for school or even for their own kids, they feel burdened of the added work they have. And personally, what better way to avoid that than giving them the feeling of being recognized rather than being obligated?
Greetings, everyone. I am Giselle Biobor. I am a BS Ed Mathematics student, and flashed on the screen are the three teachers that I think are very, very good and really have this pedagogical competencies. One is a teacher in mathematics, another is a teacher in English, and the last one is a teacher in Filipino. Now, how was environment like when these teachers are teaching, and how competent are they? Now, these three teachers have it in them that whenever they see something, whenever they present themselves in class, all the students in the class would just stop and listen and are all ears listening to them because they have this rapport with us that makes us really want to listen because everything they say, like, you could say that they are very knowledgeable and very insightful. They are all very competent in their subject areas, very competent in mathematics, very competent in English, and very competent in Filipino. Now, the teacher in mathematics is Mr. Erickson B. Deloria. He would in class he would all be this playful teacher, and we would all just learn lightheartedly, but we at the end of the day we really learn the things that are covered during the discussion. Now, I remember him saying na in mathematics there's always a solution if you keep working hard enough. Now, this tells the students that you have to have this character and character that you have to work hard in order to achieve something. He somehow encourages us to continue and indeed to work hard so that we could get the solution in every answer and in every problem that we face. Another one is Mr. Vasha Rodel Videloria. He is an English teacher. And he also had been our teacher in Introduction to Philosophy, and I vividly remember him saying, "To know thyself is the beginning of wisdom." And aside from that, he teaches us with principles that develops our character, gives us ideas and different philosophies that are related to the subject and philosophies that he learned all throughout his life that are indeed very helpful for us. And last one is Miss Ana Milis Rubio. She is a teacher in Filipino, and what I remember her saying is, ang tagumpay ay hindi basta-basta binibigay. Ito ay kailangan mong paghirapan. She always has this in her to guide us and share with us her learnings in life that is related to the subject Filipino. She would give it in Tagalog, and we would listen and really was like, wow, that is true. That is indeed true that success, tagumpay, is not really just given to you. You have to work for it in order to achieve them. Now, they all provide an excellent way to develop the community. The students, the parents, all of the students they have taught, they have been developed and thus are good resources of community involvement. One gives us the secret of success. One continuously molds our character, and the last one guides us in the reality of life. So I think these three teachers presented right here are teachers that indeed have very, very good pedagogical competencies. Thank you.
Now we proceed to the second part of this video, the essential question. Number 1. In the delivery of service to the community where I may be helping, what are the lights and shadow of being too centered on contents? Okay, so firstly, the lights on being too centered on the contents. In the delivery of the service to the community, being too centered on content gives clarity of information and message we want to communicate to the people in the community. The contents and how we deliver them are structured, avoiding room for errors. Lastly, there is a thoroughness of the content delivery, resulting to a more comprehensive and consistent delivery of service. On the other hand, the shadows would be a lack of personal connection and it might overlook individual needs. Now, because the contents may be crafted for the majority of people within the community or even at a larger scale, contents might not be relevant and useful to some people in the community. Also, the contents might be too complex and comprehensive that it might cause information overload, which may result to the confusion of the audience, especially if the content is not crafted based on the needs and demands of the audience themselves and the community as a whole.
What do you wish in order to be more innovative in communicating your projects or program to the community? Is it possible to be accomplished within the framework you set? Enhancing how we talk about our projects to the community is super important. I want to make it easier for everyone to understand what we're doing and why it matters. By using simple language, interactive tools like social media, and cool visuals, we can get people more excited and involved. Plus, listening to what the community wants and being flexible with our approach can help us keep improving how we communicate. It's all about making sure everyone feels included and understands how they can be part of the awesome things we're doing together. Thus, by doing this, it would be possible to be accomplished within the framework set.
Third and last question. What should be the best approach in communicating with the community using your knowledge of the contents of your lessons? Now, based on my answer in number one, being too centered on contents may not be so useful after all. Now, because of this, I think a very efficient approach would be to have a sense of balance in terms of the content and the information we communicate to the people within the community. Balance in a sense that the content or the information are substantial, meaningful, and relevant. Now, with this approach, the quote unquote sense of balance, we aim to communicate a content that's both informative and relatable. That ends our discussion. Thank you and have a great day.